All right, let's talk about what's going on in the city of Chicago. You've got the ongoing crisis of non-citizens arriving by bus, and last week we saw that the City Council of Chicago passed an ordinance allowing them to impound buses. Well, how is that working out? Headline from the Chicago Tribune is essentially saying that they've lost communication with these bus companies after that. What about the citizens and their ability to let Chicago City Council know where they stand on the city's sanctuary state and sanctuary city status? And what about the ongoing issues of crime? These things and more, I chatted with Chicago reporter William Kelly earlier this morning, and we talk about the voice of the residents being lost in all of this. And the backfiring of the bus impounding ordinance and more. Here's reporter William Kelly.
That's right, Greg. All of the above. You can't make this stuff up. And why would you want to? It sadly shows that our elected officials are a dangerous combination of incompetent and or corrupt. And they're not allowing me, anyway, to ask any questions about it. You know, we started off with this $29 million tent city that was absurd on its face. To put anyone in a tent in the middle of a winter, Chicago winter, was obviously absurd. But then we find out it's on top of a toxic waste dump. And still to this day, we're not allowed to ask questions. But that's a one-day story. Why? Because now we're faced with the chaos of suing bus companies, and surprise, surprise, the unintended consequence of that is the bus companies are just simply letting people off the bus at undisclosed locations. So now we have migrants wandering around. And guess what, Greg? Here's the new layer for you. Infectious disease. We have an outbreak of infectious diseases in the city of Chicago. Some people would say, well, what exactly does that mean? Why would you even say that? That sounds so rude for you to even say. Well, how does 400 cases of chickenpox sound to you? Have you ever, do you know anyone who's had adult chickenpox? It's not pretty, and it has serious consequences. And it's being reported that a young child, I believe a 5-year-old boy, we're just investigating this now. This is just breaking now, I suppose, died of a mystery illness at one of the largest migrant shelters in Chicago. Now, I remember not too long ago that our governor was saying that citizens needed to be vaccinated, whether they wanted to be or not. And now we have migrants just being let out of buses, wandering the city, and an infectious disease outbreak. Will our governor contact trace these migrants, find out what schools they've been going to, who they've been in contact with? And if not, why not? Why wouldn't he want to do that? He thought it was a perfectly good idea to contact trace your grandmother from Thanksgiving dinner not too long ago. Remember, Greg?
Again, William Kelly chatted with him earlier this morning, talking about the sanctuary city status now, where you've got the citizens that were denied their ability to tell Chicago City Council through an official vote how they feel about that status. Where's that at in all of this?
Well, once again, here you have the Chicago City Council denying the people of the city of Chicago to vote on a non-binding referendum. By the way, anyone who tells you that the city of Chicago is somehow a functioning democracy or even a participating in a free country or something like this, you really have to maybe break that down for them, or what we're really dealing with here. No, the majority of aldermen in the Chicago City Council voted overwhelmingly down on allowing the people of Chicago to even have their voices heard. This is alarming. We've had elected officials in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois, tell us that all of the great institutions, the values, the morals, the values that built our country are all racist and bad, and the statues need to be torn down and the schools need to be renamed. But yet they seem to be promoting anti-morals or values that prevent citizens from even having a voice in the city of Chicago, Greg.
So again, you got a variety of different things going on with the ongoing crisis of non-citizens arriving to the city, from the bus companies being targeted and so on, and the lack of voice from Chicago citizens being able to tell their officials whether or not they want the city to remain a sanctuary city. But what about citizen safety? You hear about crime, and it continues. You've got the January 1st deadline coming to possibly, have people register firearms. I know Chicago's had a ban on certain types of firearms for quite some time, but William Kelly, how does this play out for citizens?
Well, Greg, it's a good news, bad news story in the city of Chicago when it comes to out of control violent crime. We have a governor who has and a mayor who have set the scene where we have violent repeat offenders back out on the street committing the exact same crimes that they were just arrested for, in some cases hours before. They don't have FOID cards, they don't have concealed carry, but yet they always have a gun. And our governor is telling us that gun owners, who by all accounts haven't broken any law in their entire lives, need to somehow curtail their rights. But yet we have a situation in the city of Chicago where carjackings, armed robberies, 14, 15-year-old children jumping out of stolen cars with long guns, completely defenseless citizens being robbed, raped. One case in particular, a one-man crime spree is what it's being referred to in the South Loop. A man entered a condo building, typically considered a safe place to live, raped a woman, and then robbed two or three other people, stole their car keys, and carjacked and stole their car. If one of them had a gun, obviously all of that could have been prevented. So there really is a real disconnect between the rights of criminals to apparently be released out onto the street where they always seem to have a gun, and the rights of law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. There was one story, Greg, though. This is the feel-good story of the week for you. A woman, it's being reported, wrestled a man with a machine gun to the ground and held him there until the police arrived. I don't know if the police arrived within minutes or hours. I don't know how long she had to hold this man on the ground. But it is possible, Greg, that even if our elected officials do disarm the law-abiding citizens, it is possible for women to learn how to fight men with machine guns, Greg. It is possible.
So again, William Kelly, Chicago reporter. We're not going to talk with him next week. It's Christmas, or January 1st. Of course, that's the new year. But what's the top story of Chicago? I asked him this morning.
Well, the top story out of Chicago, sadly, is
for the year
incompetent, corrupt elected official crisis that we're facing. As a reporter, it clearly is the root of all of these problems. As a lifelong Chicagoan, as someone who loves Chicago and loves Illinois and loves people and loves law and order, it is heartbreaking to watch it escalate on a not only a daily basis, a weekly basis, a moment-to-moment basis in the city of Chicago, Greg.
Again, William Kelly, always enjoy getting his perspective from on the ground and chatting with him earlier this morning. It is Bishop on Air. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And, of course, we'll be back at it tomorrow. So greatly appreciate you guys being here each and every weekday morning as we try to break down some of the latest for you here with Bishop on Air.